Hello ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be actually quite a lot different video, because here I'm about to fill this RPG player survey from Larian Studios. And in case you don't know who they are, Larian Studios is a video game development studio who has been in the industry for many years, and are responsible for great RPGs such as Divine Divinity and Beyond Divinity, released around early 2000 if I recall correctly, Divinity Dragon Commander, Divinity Original Sin, and now they're working on Divinity Original Sin 2, which should be released in a few months. Somewhere around September if I remember correctly. Now, I have actually filled this survey already about a few days ago, but then I ran into Colonel RPG's video of this survey where he told us what he likes and dislikes in RPGs and why while filling the survey. I found that video rather fun and interesting, and so I decided to make one by myself as well. So the point of this video is to make you guys know me better as a player, and what I like or dislike in my RPGs, why, and so on. Normally I would provide a link to this survey under the description below, but you will most likely not be able to fill the survey anymore by the time you're watching this video, because this survey is going to be closed today, 23rd of July. So that's why I don't see any reason to provide the link to you, unfortunately. But now, without further ado, let's start the survey. Alright, so let's see, how do you feel about these genres? Computer RPG, like Neverwinter Nights, Fallout 1 and 2, Divinity Original Sin, of course they had to add their own game in the list as well, and Pillars of Eternity. This should be very obvious, I love them. If you have watched the list of games that I play on my channel, then this should be a no-brainer. I love them. And about these games listed here, I have never played Neverwinter Nights, although I have heard nothing but positive things about it. I have played both Fallout 1 and 2, and even beaten the first game a couple of times or so. I have played the second game, but I never actually finished it. But I would like to change that at some point in the future. I would like to play both of these games on my channel at some point. Maybe the first game in quite near future, sometime after Pillars of Eternity. Divinity Original Sin. I have played Divinity Original Sin as well, but I never actually finished it, but I would like to change that as well. Don't know when I'll be playing this though. And Pillars of Eternity, which just happens to be the role-playing game that I'm making a let's play of right now, as you might know. So yeah, next, action RPG, like The Witcher, Dragon Age, Diablo and Dark Souls. Now, when I was a younger kid, like when Diablo 2 was the shit, I played lots of Diablo 2 and also Nox. Those two are my most favorite action RPGs ever. And I do own all the 3 Witcher games, but I have never played any of them. And the biggest reasons for that are: 1, I want to make let's plays of all of those three games, and blind let's plays to be more specific, so that's why I haven't played them myself. And secondly, the computer that I used to have before this one that I have now currently was not very strong, and there was no way in hell I could have run Witcher 3 in it, so that's why I haven't even played that. But yeah, I would like to make blind let's plays of them at some point in the future, but we'll see. Dragon Age. I have heard nothing but positive things about Dragon Age, so I would also like to play that game as well at some point. The second game and the third game were quite meh, from what I have heard anyway, but the first game is great, so I'm kinda excited to play that as well at some point. Diablo. Like I said, I have played lots of Diablo 2 and I love it. I have also played hundreds of hours of Diablo 3, but I still think that Diablo 3 is inferior to Diablo 2 in so many ways. Heck, I think I could actually make a video series explaining to you that why Diablo 2 is so much better than Diablo 3 and what Diablo 3 did wrong when it comes to game design or just the overall feel and gameplay aspect and so on and so forth. But I'm not gonna go into deeper than that. Dark Souls. When I first saw Dark Souls, I thought it looked rather boring and very slow paced, too slow for my taste. But then over the years, when more Dark Souls games came out and they became even more and more popular, I have also started to become more interested in it, and also Bloodborne, obviously. So I have been thinking about making a let's play of like the first Dark Souls game at some point, but yeah, I haven't played them. So anyway, neutral or like, Well, I'm kind of torn between neutral and like here. But then again, I think that role-playing games like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is also considered as an action RPG. And, well, Dragon Age and The Witcher is here as well, so yeah. So I guess I'm gonna put like in there. Mostly because I assume that action RPG also includes Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines as well, and that game had some very nice role-playing aspects to it as well. So it wasn't pure action like Diablo, for example. So yeah, I'm not gonna say like. Japanese RPGs. I have never cared about Japanese RPGs, and I don't think I have ever played any Japanese RPGs before, unless we count The Legend of Zelda as one. And the only one that I actually know by name is Final Fantasy. Fire Emblem, I think I may have heard about that once in a while. And Persona 5, I have never actually heard about Persona 5 until I have never heard about Persona before until Persona 5 came out. But yeah, Final Fantasy is the only one that I actually know by name. But I don't play them. I simply don't care. I really prefer Western classic computer role-playing games, and I think that the other reason why I think that perhaps the main reason why I don't care about Japanese RPGs so much is because they are mostly anime. Because, well, they're Japanese RPGs. Of course, there's going to be lots of anime characters in many of those games, and I guess you could say that I'm just tired of anime characters. Every time when I see a game with anime-ish style, with anime characters, with guys and girls with pink hairs and oversized boobs and stuff like that, then I'm like, get away from me. But yeah. Then next, MMORPG like World of Warcraft, Destiny, and Star Wars: The Old Republic. The only MMORPG that I have played for only God knows how many hours is World of Warcraft. I simply like World of Warcraft's lore and the playable races like orcs, goblins, trolls, tauren, and stuff like that. And Worgen. I really like those races because if you think about it, there's not that many MMORPGs where you can play something like orcs, goblins, trolls, or anything, or undead, or anything else similar. I think the only other MMORPG that I can think of where you could play as orcs and goblins was Warhammer Online or something like that, but I'm quite sure that game is not a thing anymore. I have also tried other MMORPGs like Guild Wars 2 and Wildstar when that game was still in beta, and also, what was it called? Neverwinter Nights Online or something like that. That Dungeons and Dragons based MMORPG. So I have tested them as well, but they never managed to capture my attention and interest like World of Warcraft did. Now today I don't really play World of Warcraft anymore. I think the game is way too accessible. It's too easy. It's too simple. Heck, the game is quite literally giving you away legendary weapons like Ashbringer, Doomhammer, and other weapons like that, like candy, to every single freaking player. When I started playing World of Warcraft, that was back in the Burning Crusade, and I played till Wrath of the Lich King, came back in Cataclysm, and that's where the downhill of the game really started. So yeah, I'm more like an old school WoW player. If Blizzard ever released legacy servers with vanilla or the Burning Crusade patches and servers, then I would go and play those versions of the game most likely immediately, because I had most fun during the Burning Crusade. So yeah, but anyway, what do I think about them overall? Well, I think I would say neutral at this point. And besides, in MMORPGs, there's usually very, very little room for creativity and actual role-playing when compared to single-player role-playing games or classic role-play games in general. So yeah, I would say that I'm neutral. Strategy games like XCOM and Civilization and Total War. I have never played XCOM before, but I have heard only positive things about it. I have played Civilization 4 and 5. I have yet to play 6. so I can't really say anything about the sixth game. But I have played the Civilization games before, and I have liked all of them. And then Total War. The only Total War game I have played a little bit was Total War Shogun 2, and I liked it. I'm really into games that are about Japanese history, and the feudal era with samurai and stuff like that. So that's why the game interested me, and I never actually played it that much after all, but it was interesting. So I would say that I like strategy games overall. Oh, we're not here, up here. There we go. And lastly, we got co-op multiplayer, like Ghost Recon Wildlands. I have no idea what that game is. Portal 2 and Left 4 Dead. Well, when it comes to co-op multiplayer games, the only ones that I play occasionally are Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, and StarCraft 2. So basically Blizzard games exclusively. But if you think about the games listed here, I don't play co-op multiplayer games. At least not games like this. So should I? I guess I could say that I don't play them based on the games they have listed here. Or should I just say neutral? You know what? Let's just put neutral though, just to be safe. Just to be safe. Alright, next. How do you feel about these types of camera in RPGs? Isometric and top-down? Love it. It's my most favorite because it gives me that tactical advantage, because I can see the terrain, the enemies, where my allies are, and what else is happening around me, and so on and so forth. Plus I like to see the beautiful world from isometric top-down perspective. So yeah, I love isometric and top-down perspective here. First person. I think that first person is perhaps my least favorite out of all of this. And perhaps the main reason for that is that, for one, you don't have that tactical advantage like you have in isometric and top-down perspective, and you don't see your character. Usually you only see the hands and arms of your character, and possibly legs, and maybe torso if you're looking down. But other than that, you don't really see your character, and I would like to see my character. And that's the other reason why I like the isometric and top-down perspective. You can see your characters. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of first person, but I don't dislike it either. One advantage that first person perspective has is that it can feel more immersive, and especially if it's a VR game. But that's not that important to me personally. So I guess I'm gonna say neutral here. I don't particularly like it, but I don't dislike it either. Alright, lastly, third person. I would say that this is my second favorite out of all of these, so I'm gonna put like there immediately. If by third person we are talking about camera angles like over the shoulder type of third person camera angle, like in, say, Resident Evil 4, or the type of third person perspective you can have in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, then I like them. They work for me. Anything else I want to add to this before we move on? No, I don't think so. Well, anyway, what do you feel is the ideal length of an RPG? Well, let's see, what options do we have here? Less than 20 hours, 20 to 40 hours, 40 to 60, 60 to 80, 80 to 100, or 100 hours or more. Now, this is a rather tough question. If we think about my personal favorite CRPGs, which right now perhaps my most favorite classic computer role-playing game is Tyranny. And that game is rather short. I think I beat it in around 40 hours or less. I think it was about 40. I think I beat it in about 40 hours or so. Now, some people may say that that's too short. That's not acceptable. But the thing is that Tyranny makes up for that with the replayability it has. Because your choices and decisions in that game actually matters. And so, if you play the game more than once and make totally different decisions, different characters, go to different places, talk to different people, and overall make very different decisions and choices, your actions actually show. Your decisions do matter. You get to places where you couldn't go to before because you did this or talked to that person or completed that quest. And you can also have very different you can also have very different endings. And the places you go to can change very dramatically and so on and so forth. And that's what I like about Tyranny. That's one of the main reasons why I like Tyranny so much. It might be a short game, but there's so much replayability that it should make up for it. And to me, a good role-playing game should have replayability. Your choices, actions and decisions should matter a lot in a good role-playing game. And the reason why your decisions and choices did matter that much, and why the game has so much replayability, and why each playthrough can be very different than the last, is because the game is so short. If the game was very long, like say Pillars of Eternity is very long, I think I am almost at 80 hours in my Pillars of Eternity Let's Play right now. And I don't think that if I played the game for a second time, and even if I made a very different character and I made some very different choices and decisions there, I don't think that those actions and such would make that playthrough that much different compared to the last. Simply because the game is so long that they cannot make it as... how should I say it? They cannot make your every decision or choice matter that much in the end. Because if they did, they will have to add more stories, more branching, more events, maybe more new locations add to the game, and that of course costs time and money. But enough about that rambling. So that's why I think if I had to make a choice, I would pick a game like Tyranny over a game like Pillars of Eternity when it comes to the length. But now, should I pick 20 to 40 or 40 to 60? I would say that 40 to 60 is a good middle ground. So let's pick that. 40 to 60 hours. Alright, next. How much do you value these features in an RPG? Story rich? And by story rich, I assume that they mean things like the number of quests, how many side stories and side quests the game has, and how well detailed backgrounds and stories and possibly personal quests your companions, hirelings and party members have, etc. So those in mind, I would say that they are rather important because naturally, if the game doesn't have a good story, then it's not that interesting to play in the end. But then again, it just says story rich, not good story. Well, you know what? Let's add it to moderately important, because I don't think that story rich here includes the quality of the story in itself. So let's go with moderately important for now. Tactical combat. I would say that is quite important, especially if the game is going to be rather combat heavy, like say Tyranny and Pillars of Eternity is. But of course there are exceptions, like for example in Torment Tides of Numenera, the tactical combat is taking kinda a back seat in that game. And it's the dialogue, the characters, the story and writing that's the most important aspect of that game. So of course it varies in games and it depends on what kind of a role-playing game we are talking about. But if you're talking about games like Divinity or Original Sin and Pillars of Eternity, you know, the type of role-playing games these guys make, I would say the tactical combat is rather important. Character progression. Now, I'm not exactly sure what they are including in the character progression here. Do they only mean the leveling system, the stat points, and stuff like that, or are they also including things like perks, traits, talents, and specializations and stuff like that? Because if they are, then I would say that it's very, very important. Because I think that in a role-playing game, the more you can specialize your character and the more unique you can make your character, the better. But of course, there's some certain risks involved in there. Because if you make a very specialized character who is very good at something like let's say if for example you make a rogue who has a very high lockpicking skills, pickpocketing skills, sneaking skills, and may potentially be very good at lying, but he's shit at combat. And if you eventually run into situations where you simply cannot avoid enemies and you have to fight once in a while, then you can be quite screwed. Unless, of course, you have some companions, hirelings, or followers, or something else like that in your party who can make up for those weaknesses your character has. But yeah, you get my point. But yeah, anyway, so I would think the character progression is very important in a good role-playing game. Alright, replayability. So again we come back to this replayability part that I was kind of talking about earlier when we were discussing about the ideal length of an RPG. And I would say the replayability is also very important. Because in a good role-playing game, in my opinion, each playthrough you make should be very different. If you make very different characters and make completely opposite choices and decisions and stuff like that, then the experience should be very different, and the story should end very differently. So that's why I think replayability is very important, and because Tyranny has lots of replayability, it is my most favorite classic role-playing game right now. It might be short compared to other role-playing games like Divinity Original Sin and Pillars of Eternity or Wasteland 2 and stuff like that, but at least it has lots of replayability that makes up for it, and makes each playthrough an interesting and different experience. So yeah, replayability, very important. Alright, challenge. I assume that by challenge they mean it's mostly combat related, that how hard the enemies and bosses and stuff are. And I also assume that by challenge they also include in things like difficulty modes, hardcore modes and stuff like that. So, anyway, is challenge how important to me? Well, of course, I like challenge, like any other real gamer. I like challenge, but when it comes to the classic computer role-playing games, it's not that important to me personally. So let's just say that it's important. It's important to have challenge, because the game can be rather boring if it's too easy, of course. So let's say that it's important for now. Then loot. Alright, so if we were talking about actual role-playing games like Diablo or Dark Souls and stuff like that, then of course loot would be very important. But in classic computer role-playing games, not so much. Although of course I would like to get some nice loot and rewards after completing some very long and epic and hard quest, or defeating this big-ass and tough dragon. Maybe I died to that dragon a couple of times before finally beating it. So every time I beat a boss, a big boss or bad guy in an epic boss fight, then I do expect to get at least some sort of rewards from it in the form of loot. Be it gear like armor or weapons or something else. But yeah, loot it's not that important in the end, but I would say that it's moderately important. Alright, then crafting. Crafting is perhaps one of the least interesting parts in any computer role-playing game that I've ever played. Because it just feels to me that the crafting system is just there. I mean, it's just there. It doesn't play any important part in the game storyline, and the crafting systems don't really help to personalize or specialize your character in any way. If they somehow manage to make the crafting system more interesting, and make your character more unique in that aspect. Like, for example, if I could make a character who's very good at, let's say, in alchemy skills, and if I could train his or her alchemy skills so that my character could make stronger health potions, mana potions, and stronger elixirs or flasks that give my character and my party members stronger buffs that last longer and stuff like that, then I would be more interested in it. Think about the World of Warcraft professions here. Let's take cooking as another example from World of Warcraft. Cooking happens to be one of my most favorite professions from World of Warcraft, along with fishing. Shut up! Fishing is exciting. It's one of the best professions in World of Warcraft, so shut up. So anyway, if they manage to add professions or some sort of a crafting systems to role-playing games that you can level up and hone your skills in that craft, and learn how to make more delicious and powerful dishes, powerful dishes, that actually sounded rather stupid, but anyway, you get what I mean. So if I could learn recipes and make more delicious dishes that can give my character and my party members stronger buffs that lasts longer, I think I would be more interested in that. And if you could also add crafting professions like blacksmithing, and I could train my other character like a warrior or paladin or whoever happens to be the tank in my party, If I could teach that character how to craft some powerful armor and weapons he can use and maybe give to my other characters as well, then I would also be more interested in that in blacksmithing profession as well, for example. But yeah, anyway, as the crafting systems are in classic computer role-playing games right now, they are not really that exciting or interesting, but I really wish that they could make them a little bit better. So I would say that they are slightly important. I don't see crafting systems as completely worthless. I mean, they have their place in role-playing games, but I just wish that they could make them more interesting. But right now they are slightly important to me personally. Alright, then co-op. Now, I don't know if you have noticed in recent years, but co-op has become more and more important even in classic role-playing games these days. Let's see now. In the first Divinity Original Sin, you could play the story campaign with a friend, or 3 friends if you used this one specific mod. And in the upcoming Divinity Original Sin 2, you can play the story campaign along with a maximum of 3 other friends. And there's also Game Master mode in that game as well, which you can also of course play with friends. And that's going to be very exciting. The Game Master mode of Divinity Original Sin 2 is one of the main reasons why I'm so excited about that game. And in the upcoming Wasteland 3 you can also play the story campaign with a friend, but I don't remember if you could play it only with 1 friend or if you could have more than that. Well, whatever the case, you can play the upcoming Wasteland 3 with a friend. And there was one more computer role-playing game where you could play the story campaign with a friend. What was it? I think it was Swords Ghost Legends. Yeah, that one. In Swords Ghost Legends, you could also play the story campaign with a friend, and there was also a Game Master mode in that game. Very poor Game Master mode, but it's there. So there's also a Game Master mode that you can play with multiple people. I think it was for 5 people. 4 people being the adventurers, and the 5th one being the dungeon master, of course. So yeah, I would say that co-op is becoming more and more important even in classic role-playing games as time, and even more game developers would want to add co-op to their role-playing games. But I would not say that co-op is becoming a must-have thing. You don't necessarily need to have co-op mode in your role-playing games. I'm sure that there's still going to be a place for strictly single-player only role-playing games in the market. Like, for example, Torment, Tides of Numenera is the kind of a role-playing game where I can't imagine having co-op. I simply don't see role-playing games like Torment, Tides of Numenera benefiting from co-op in any way. So yeah, co-op, it's not going to be a must-have thing, but it is going to be more important. And actually, I would go as far as to say that there are many people out there who would normally not touch classic role-playing games like Pillars of Eternity or Torment, Tides of Numenera or Wasteland 2 or Divinity or Original Sin if there was no co-op. So if you want to get more players to play your game, adding co-op is a good way to do it. I'm sure that there would be more people willing to give these types of game at least a try if there was a co-op mode. So anyway, should I say... I would say that it's moderately important. Not hugely important, but moderately important. And like I said, I think that co-op is going to become more and more important and relevant. Anyway, then PvP. Out of all these options here, PvP is perhaps the least important to me personally. Because if you wanted to have PvP, you would most likely not want to play these types of games anyway. But PvP, I think that the only role-playing game right now where you can have PvP in any way, it's the upcoming Divinity Original Sin 2. In Divinity Original Sin 2, you can turn on your companions and attack them, and then engage in PvP. But I don't think that there's any other role-playing game where you can have PvP against other players. I'm quite sure that there isn't any. So yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to say that it's not important at all, at least not to me personally. And obviously this survey is asking what I think is important. So for me, PvP is not important at all. I don't care about it. Alright then, what kind of protagonist do you prefer? A pre-written character, a custom character, or no preference? By pre-written character, I assume that they mean characters who already have pre-written backstories and origins and stuff like that. And actually in Divinity Original Sin 2, you have the option of picking an origin story character who has, well, an origin story, and also his own personal quest you can try to complete, while also playing the main storyline of the game. And they're actually very interesting too. I don't think that any other role-playing game has done it like this before yet. Well, of course, the other game that comes to my mind with pre-written characters is the first Fallout game. And the second Fallout game too, if I recall correctly. But those are not nearly as interesting or interestingly done as the origin story characters in Divinity or Original Sin 2. When I make a Let's Play of Original Sin 2, I might actually even first pick origin story character, just because I like this one particular origin story character in there. However, you don't need to pick the origin story character if you want to experience the story. You can still make a completely custom character of your own, and then recruit those origin story characters as your companions, and then experience and complete the quests that way. Anyway, if I had to now choose between pre-written character or custom character, I would say that custom character is more important to me, because I think that in a good role-playing game, I can customize my character as much as possible. I can make him as unique and as specialized as possible if I want to. So yeah, that's why I think custom characters are way more important than pre-written characters with possibly their abilities, skills, possibly classes already decided. Oh, but in Divinity Original Sin 2, you can still choose the classes of the origin story characters. They do have their default classes if you decide to pick them up as companions, but if you decide to play as them, then you can choose the class. So that's a good thing. Anyway, and lastly of this page, how do you feel about these styles of combat in RPGs? Turn-based? Yeah, I like it. I have no problems with it whatsoever. I don't think it's my favorite out of all combat systems, but I like it. Real-time? And by real-time they mean, I assume that they mean like the type of combat like Diablo and Dark Souls have, and the same type of combat like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines had. Even though the combat in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is rather buggy and glitchy and unbalanced, considering the state that the game was released in back in the day, it wasn't that great of an experience. However, if the game was well polished, it was less buggy and less glitchy, I think that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines combat would have been great. So keeping Vampire the Masquerade's Bloodlines combat in mind, and how it could have possibly turned out if it was more polished, I would say that real-time, I like it. I like it a lot. And real-time with pause, I think that this is my favorite out of all these three options, because real-time with pause has both the tactical aspect of turn-based combat, but it also has that more fast-paced aspect to it as well, of the real-time combat as well. So it has both of those things combined, and I like that a lot. I have now played Tyranny and Pillars of Eternity on my channel, and so far I have liked the combat system in both of those. But of course they have not been perfect, especially not in Pillars of Eternity. I think that the biggest problem in combat in Pillars of Eternity has been the pathing. The pathing routes my characters decide to try and take is sometimes so stupid and abysmal that I must manually move my characters around their allies so they can go and flank the enemy. So yeah, the combat in Pillars of Eternity has not been flawless, but overall I think I prefer real-time with pause over turn-based and real-time, but I have no problems with turn-based or real-time either. They both work just fine for me. Alright, so that was the first out of 5 pages. Next page. Alright, which of these traditional RPGs have you played and how do you feel about them? Fallout 1 and 2? Yeah, like I said in the previous page, I have played both of these games and even beaten the first Fallout game once or twice. And I have played the second game, but I had never actually finished it. I would like to change that, and I am planning to play these both at some point in the quite near future, at least the first Fallout game. And I would say that I like them. I like them a lot, and I think they have their own charm. I especially like the old school retro graphic style as well. It has its charm to it. Alright, and then we have Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. I have never played any of the Baldur's Gate games before. Yeah, I know, shame on me. But then again, when I was a kid and when these games were the shit, I didn't even know about these games' existence before, and I don't think I've ever seen any of my friends or anyone else playing these games, so I didn't know they existed. But then again, even if I did know that they existed and gave them a try, I don't think I would have played them for long, because my English language skills back then were quite limited, to say the least. So I don't think I could have played them that well in the end, let alone beaten them. So I haven't played them, so I can't say anything about them, but I have heard nothing but positive things about them. And actually, many years ago, when I first started considering trying out the Baldur's Gate games, but then I saw some screenshots of those games, and they kind of terrified me. And the reason why they terrified me so much was because there were so many buttons in the UI. There were so many buttons in the user interface that I thought that, yeah, this game looks way too complicated for me, so no. But that was then. I want to play Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 at some point in the future, but I haven't decided when. And Divinity Original Sin 1. Of course they had to add one of their own games here as well. I have played the first game and I did like it, but it kind of felt slow to me. Which may sound very weird because it's a classic computer role-playing game. Of course it's slow-paced. And yes, that's true. But to me, personally, Divinity Original Sin, it just felt much slower than the other role-playing games I played so far, like Tyranny and Pillars of Eternity and Wasteland 2 and stuff like that. So I think that's the main reason why I didn't really get into it as much, let alone beat the game. That's most likely the reason why I didn't really get as much into it. It just felt slower than the other classic role-playing games. So I have played it, but I mostly liked it. I liked it. I didn't hate it at any point. It just felt a little too slow at first. But I am planning to play Divinity Original Sin at some point in the future. Although I may play the second game first, simply because last time when I asked the developers about the story and whether the stories of the first and second game connect in any way, they said that the events of the second game is taking place, I think it was a couple hundred years after the events of the first game. So the stories of those two games are not going to be connected in any way, in any stretch of imagination. That's how I understood it. So that's why I think I'm going to play the second game first, and then the first game. But we'll see. And then Pillars of Eternity, love it, absolutely love it. I like the world, I like the characters, and the story so far is very intriguing. I overall love Pillars of Eternity. And then Wasteland 2. I have played Wasteland 2, obviously, but I have never actually beaten it just yet, and I do want to make a Let's Play of Wasteland 2 eventually. However, the reason why I haven't started Wasteland 2 Let's Play on my channel yet is because in Wasteland 2 I don't have to make not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 characters in the character creation. Because in Wasteland 2 I'm controlling a squad of Desert Rangers, and I need to make all of my 4 Desert Rangers individually during character creation. Now, creating only 1 character in a role-playing game is one thing, but 4? Now that requires a lot more planning and thinking compared to when you make just 1 character. So that's why I think I want to plan and decide my characters ahead of time before I start the actual let's play. So that's why it's going to take a bit more time to decide on my characters, like what are their stats, what are their perks and traits, and what do they specialize in, and so on and so forth. Because I need to make a rather balanced team, like a character who is good at sniping people from afar, someone who's a good healer, field medic or doctor, and someone who can tank for my party and hit people in the face in melee combat, and so on and so forth. I need to think lots of things like that in Wasteland 2's character creation. So yeah, that's why I haven't made a let's play of that game just yet, but I do want to play it at some point in the future. But yeah, anyway, I like the game. Shadowrun Hong Kong. Now I do happen to own all Shadowrun games right now. I own Shadowrun Returns and Shadowrun, what was it, Dragonfall? Shadowrun Dragonfall, I think it was called. Dragon something, and Shadowrun Hong Kong. I have all those 3 games, and I actually even backed Shadowrun Hong Kong on its Kickstarter campaign. But I haven't played them yet, and the reason why I haven't played them yet is because I want to make Let's Plays of those games as well at some point in the future. So, yeah, I haven't played them. Excuse me. And I also like how they added South Park: The Stick of Truth to this list as well. And I like South Park. It's very fun and hilarious games, and I have watched so many Let's Plays of that game. However, when it comes to being a role-playing game, South Park: The Stick of Truth is not that good not that good role-playing game in the end, because your decisions and choices don't really matter nearly that much. It's more like being a part of a South Park episode, an already written South Park episode, where you have very little power in. So that's why I don't think the South Park: The Stick of Truth is a good role-playing game in itself, but it is a very fun game on its own. Alright, let's continue. Which of these action RPGs have you played and how do you feel about them? The Witcher 3, I haven't played it yet, but I have heard nothing but good things about it, and I want to play it on my channel at some point in the future after playing the 2 other games first, and after I have got a better monitor at least. Dragon Age Inquisition, I haven't played it. And Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, I have heard lots of good things about it, but I don't play it. Fallout 4, I have played it a little bit. I haven't actually beaten the game yet. I might make a Let's Play of that game at some point in the distant future, possibly. But so far, judging from the little that I have played and what other people have also said about the game, I don't think I rather dislike the game overall, simply because it feels less like a role-playing game and more like a open-world sandbox action game. That's how I feel about the game anyway, so yeah, I don't really like Fallout 4 that much, especially when compared to the earlier games that were true role-playing games in the real sense of the word. Anyway, then Diablo 3. Now, I think that Diablo 3 is inferior to Diablo 2 in many aspects. But if we forget Diablo 2 here for a moment and judge Diablo 3 as its own game, it's a well-polished game. It's a fun and well-polished game, and it can be very fun with friends. But Diablo 3 can become quickly boring to me personally, and the fact that you have to be always online, even if you play the game alone, is bullshit still. So I would say that I'm neutral when it comes to Diablo 3. Dark Souls 3, haven't played it. Mount & Blade, I have heard this name once or twice before, but I don't know what this game even is really, so haven't played it. Dishonored 2, never played that, and I haven't played the first game either, and truth to be told, I don't really care. I mean, Dishonored games are supposed to be stealth tactic games, no? Well, judging from the little what I have seen of those games, you can be stealthy in those games, if you want. But you can also just dive in with sword swinging and guns blazing and killing everything in your sight. And I don't think that in a good stealth game you can just do that. In a good stealth game, stealth is not an option. It is a must-have thing. But yeah, that's just my take on stealth tactic games. All right, then to the third page. All right, which of these strategy games have you played and how do you feel about them? Civilization 6, I haven't played them. I have played Civilization 4 and 5 before and I like them a lot, but I haven't tried out 6 yet. XCOM 2, I haven't played them, so there's nothing I can say about that. Total War Warhammer, haven't played that either. Total War Shogun 2, I have played it and I did like it. I never played it much, really, and I never really actually learned how to play the game properly, but I did like it. I like the feudal Japan setting in there with samurais and shit. I love that. So then, Crusader Kings 2, never played it, although I have been considering whether I should give Crusader games a try. Darkest Dungeon, love it. Absolutely love it. I love the art style, I love the gameplay, and I love the fact how grimdark and hard it is. I love it. Alright, then which of these MMORPGs have you played and how do you feel about them? World of Warcraft? Well, I have played World of Warcraft ever since the Burning Crusade. But how do I feel about it right now? I would say that kinda neutral. I think I can squeeze some fun out of World of Warcraft, but I just didn't have as much fun in Legion last time I tried. I actually got very bored of it real quickly. I didn't level even one of my characters to the max level, which I think right now is 110. So yeah, that's how bored I got. So I'm just gonna say neutral here. Destiny, I haven't played it, and truth to be told, I don't really care about it either. Elder Scrolls Online, haven't played that as well, and last time when I watched some reviews of that game when the game first came out, they were not that very positive either. But yeah, I don't really care about Elder Scrolls lore or the world in general. And Star Wars or Old Republic, haven't played that either. It's kinda weird how they haven't listed games like Neverwinter Nights Online or whatever that Dungeons and Dragons MMO was called, or Wildstar or Guild Wars 2, because I have actually given those games a try. But yeah, let's just go to the 4th page. Alright then, social gaming. Which of these games have you played co-op and how do you feel about them? Terraria, Starbound, I haven't played them so I can't say anything about that. Ghost Recon Wildlands, I don't even know what that game is. Don't Starve Together, I haven't even played the Don't Starve game single player. So no. Borderlands 1 and 2, the pre-sequel, haven't played those as well, at least not in co-op. I think I did give the first game a try on my friend's PlayStation, but that's really it. I haven't actually completed the game by myself on single player. Portal 2, never played it. Left 4 Dead 1 or 2, never played those either. So yeah, I haven't played any of those games, so yeah. So much from that. Now, how do you spend the majority of your gaming time? Playing solo, playing co-op, playing competitive? Well, considering what games I'm playing on my channel right now, I think it's plainly clear that I'm playing most of the time solo. So there you go. Now I do play some competitive games once in a while, like Heroes of the Storm, and not Overwatch that much anymore, but sometimes, and some co-op like the co-op mode in StarCraft 2, and maybe Diablo, but actually it's been quite a long time since last time I played Diablo 3, because like I said I can easily get bored with it. But I think I want to try out the new Necromancer class in that game as well, and when I do, I most likely play it with a friend, so yeah. But most of the time I'm playing solo single player games. And I spend lots of time making videos for my channel, and thus I'm mostly playing single player games. Well, anyway, let's move on. If you play tabletop RPGs, have you used any of these virtual platforms to play online? Tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Shadowrun, etc. I haven't played any tabletop RPGs ever, really, which is kind of sad. Because I would really like to give tabletop RPGs a try at the very least. I don't know if I'm ever going to enjoy them as much as I enjoy classic computer role-playing games, but I would like to give them a try at the very least. But I don't have any like-minded friends nearby where I live, so yeah, that's sad. So I don't play tabletop role-playing games, unfortunately. But what options do we have here? Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Tabletop Simulator, Sword Coast Legends, Voice Only, Discord, Skype. Well, this might actually become a thing once Divinity Original Sin 2 with its Game Master mode comes out. I might actually have some tabletop-like role-playing sessions using the Game Master mode, and also using Discord, Curse or Skype or something else like that in the future, but we'll see. Maybe I'll record them and upload to my channel as long as videos, but hey, we'll see. Play post-by-post forums. I have actually done this type of role-playing before, and it can be very fun. It can be fun if you're playing with a like-minded role-player who is on the same page as you. So I have done this a little bit, and I haven't played tabletop RPGs through virtual platforms. I wonder if this counts play-by-post forums as well. I haven't played tabletop RPGs through virtual platforms. Well, I guess I haven't. Alright, then last page. Started to lose my voice here slowly but surely. Alright, what age are you? I'm around I'm between 25 and 29 at the moment. What is your gender? Male. Male. in case you don't understand, and this word basically means something else. I wonder what else they could possibly be. Martian. Anyway, on average, how much money do you spend on games a month? Alright. I guess around $20 to $40 a month. Not every month, but actually maybe I should say $20 or less. I guess $20 or less is a bit more accurate. At least right now. Now, where do you get your game information and news? Gaming news sites? Nah. And I don't use Reddit that much. Social media, like Twitter and such. Yeah, I guess I get some news from there. Steam community? Nope. Browsing the Steam catalog? Yes. Who doesn't? Recommendations from Steam? I don't really pay that much attention to Steam recommendations personally, so not really. Independent community forums? Nope. Publisher developer forums? I don't really go to forums like that. Word of mouth? Yes. And let's check one more time. No, yeah, I think we are done. And something else. I think YouTube is a big thing for me. Now I'm quite sure that they are counting YouTube to social media part as well, but I thought that I might as well specify a little bit here. And actually, let's add Twitter there as well. Yeah, there. On average, how many hours per week do you play games on PC or consoles? Oh man. It kind of feels like 20 to 25 hours really. Lots of time anyway. Maybe even more. Actually, let's say, should I put 20? Which is more accurate? 20 to 25 or 25 to 30 hours? I think that 20 to 25 is a safe bet. What channels do you use to watch gaming content? YouTube, yes, and Twitch, and I don't really know any other platforms really. So YouTube and Twitch. Which gaming platforms do you actively play on? So PC, of course. I don't own Xbox One. I don't own any PlayStations. I don't even own Nintendo Switch or 3DSs. I do have a phone, obviously, but I don't really play on that much. I used to play Hearthstone a little bit on my phone, but not that much nowadays. So pretty much PC only. PC Master Race. Alright, we are giving away $40, $20 and $10, $15 Steam cards. If you want to enter our draw, simply fill out your name and email address below. This is so in the event of your name being drawn, we have a way of contacting you. We will not be using these details in a mailing list. It is collected solely for the purpose of contacting you in the event of you winning a Steam card. For details on your privacy policy, you can go here. Alright. I think, now that I think about it, I think I forgot to read that introduction part on the first page, but whatever. So let's just add Siperos there. And like I said, or wait, did I say at the beginning of this video whether I have filled this survey already or not? Well, in case I haven't told you, yes, I have actually filled this survey already about a few days ago already. So, and there I gave my email address, so I don't think I'm gonna do it here again. So I think we are done here. Thank you for participating in the survey. Well, thank you for letting me fill it. If you have opted to participate in the competition to win a Steam gift card, we will contact you in the event that your name is drawn. Alright, thank you. So that was Larian Studios RPG player survey. I hope you found this video rather interesting and you learned to know me a little bit better and what kind of a person and player I am. So, thank you for watching once again and see you in the next one.